Midnight has already passed, not in a way that announces itself, just quietly, while you weren't watching. You're in the car now, the engine idling low and steady. The dashboard clock glows a little past 12. A new day, technically, but nothing feels new yet. The road ahead stretches out in a long, dark line. Street lights thin as you move farther on. Their glow softer, more spaced apart, as if the night is giving you room. Snow begins to fall, not all at once, just enough to notice. Each flake drifts through the headlights, appearing briefly, then letting go. No pattern to follow, no need to track where any of them land. The town you came from is already quiet behind you. Windows dark, porches empty. Christmas lights dimmed to a background glow, still on, but no longer trying. Your hands rest easily on the wheel. Your shoulders drop a little without instruction. The car hums beneath you, a sound that doesn't demand attention, only reassurance. After midnight feels different, like the day has finished speaking, like nothing else is required of you now. You're not rushing. There's nowhere you need to arrive quickly. The road feels open enough to trust, empty enough to let your thoughts settle on their own. Snow continues to fall into the space ahead of you, softening the distance between moments. The night holds steady around the car, wide and unhurried. For now, it's enough to be here. Just after midnight, engine idling, the road open, and the long drive gently beginning without asking anything more from you. The road doesn't change all at once. It simply keeps going. And somewhere between the last set of lights and the open dark, your body begins to follow its rhythm. Nothing needs to be adjusted. Nothing needs to be decided. The drive starts to take care of itself. The car moves at an easy pace now, tires whispering against the road as snow begins to settle. Not enough to slow you, just enough to soften everything it touches. The headlights carve a calm path forward. Only what you need to see appears. The rest stays dark, content to wait. Your grip on the wheel loosens without thought. Hands steady, familiar. This motion doesn't require effort anymore. The hum of the engine blends with the sound of the road, low and even, like a background that's always been there. You stop noticing where one sound ends and the other begins. Breathing finds a slower pace. In, out. Each breath landing more gently than the last. Snow drifts through the light ahead of you, no longer something to watch closely. It becomes part of the movement, passing through, then gone. The highway stretches open, wide and forgiving. No traffic pressing in. No signs asking you to pay attention yet. Just lanes unfolding, one after another. You don't feel alone out here, and you don't feel accompanied either. It's a quieter middle space where nothing is expected of you. The drive continues, and with it, a subtle sense of settling, as if your body has agreed, without needing to say so, that this is where it can finally rest into the night. Time starts to loosen its grip. Minutes no longer line up cleanly. They soften, stretching out between mile markers. You don't bother to count. The road stays steady beneath you. Straight for a while, then a gentle curve. Nothing sudden enough to interrupt the calm that's formed. Snow gathers along the edges now, tracing the highway in pale lines. It doesn't change where you're going. It simply makes the path feel held. Inside the car, the air feels warmer, more contained. The outside world presses less, as if the glass and metal have agreed to keep everything gentle tonight. You notice how little effort it takes to stay like this. No tightening in your shoulders. No checking mirrors more than necessary. Your body knows how to do this without supervision. Thoughts slow down, not disappearing, just spacing themselves farther apart. one arrives, lingers for a breath, then drifts off, leaving quiet behind it. The snow thickens slightly, blurring the distance ahead just enough to make the world feel smaller, safer, contained within the reach of your headlights. You don't feel tired in a way that worries you. You feel settled, as if the night has lowered its expectations and invited you to do the same. The car continues forward, steady and unremarkable. And somewhere along this stretch of road, the drive stops being something you're doing and becomes something that's carrying you smoothly, patiently, deeper into the calm of the night. The last hint of town disappears behind you. No clear moment marks it. Just fewer lights, more space. The road widens, then opens fully, stretching out ahead without interruption. Nothing closes in now. Nothing narrows your attention. The highway feels different out here, wider, calmer, as if it was built to hold long drives like this one. Snow falls steadily now, illuminated by your headlights in a soft, continuous stream. Not heavy, not urgent, just present, filling the dark with quiet movement. Lanes extend forward in clean lines, guiding without demanding. No exits calling to you. No signs insisting you choose. The world feels larger than it did before, but somehow less complicated. Fewer decisions, fewer edges. Your eyes stay relaxed, resting on the rhythm of the road. Light, dark, light again. The sound inside the car settles deeper into the background. Engine, tires, wind passing gently along the sides. None of it asks to be noticed. It simply stays. You feel the openness in your chest, the way the space ahead seems to reach inward, loosening what the day left behind. There's room out here, actual room, and the kind that doesn't need to be filled. Snow gathers along the median, along the shoulders, quietly outlining the path without limiting it. The highway doesn't rush you. It doesn't pull you forward either. It just remains open, steady beneath the falling snow, inviting you to continue on without hurry, without expectation, as the night stretches wide and the road carries you deeper into it. The farther you go, the quieter it becomes. Not emptier, just less crowded with noise. Snow continues to fall at the same patient pace, each flake passing through the light and letting the darkness take it back. You stop noticing where one ends and the next begins. The highway holds its line without effort. No sudden turns, no surprises waiting in the dark. Just a long, steady stretch that seems to understand this hour. Your body responds to that certainty. Jaw loosens. Breathing deepens. The small tensions you didn't realize you were carrying begin to set themselves down. There's nothing to fix out here, nothing to replay. The openness doesn't invite thinking. It allows release. You pass a distant sign without reading it. An exit you don't consider. The idea of stopping feels unnecessary, almost irrelevant. The snow softens the edges of everything it touches. Road markings fade slightly. The horizon blurs. Even the sense of distance begins to thin. Thoughts that once felt close move farther away now. Not pushed, not avoided, just left behind as the highway keeps opening ahead. The car continues forward, smooth and consistent, and the night feels wide enough to hold whatever remains, without asking you to carry it. Out here on the open highway, nothing is required of you except to keep moving gently forward, held by the road, by the falling snow, and by the quiet certainty that this stretch of night is doing its work, its own. The openness settles into something familiar now. Not because you've been here before, but because your body recognizes steady motion when it feels safe. The road keeps offering itself forward, mile after mile, without asking you to measure progress. You stop wondering how far you've gone. You stop wondering how far is left. Snow continues its quiet descent, thick enough to soften the view, light enough to keep everything calm. It changes the world without asking permission, and you let it. The space ahead feels endless in a gentle way, not overwhelming, not empty, just wide enough to breathe into. A thought passes through you, something from earlier today, or maybe yesterday. It arrives without detail, without a name. You notice it, the way you might notice a cloud drifting past the windshield. Then it moves on, leaving the road unchanged. There's comfort in how little the night reacts. It doesn't echo your thoughts. It doesn't reflect them back. It simply keeps going, steady and uninterested in pulling you inward. The car feels smaller inside the vastness of the highway, but in a way that's reassuring, contained, protected. Your breathing slows another fraction, matching the rhythm you've been moving with all along. In, out, no effort required. The open highway continues beneath the falling snow, quietly doing what it was built to do. Carry you forward, smooth out the sharp edges of the day, and leave enough space behind you for whatever doesn't need to come along. Out here, nothing follows too closely. Nothing waits ahead with urgency. There is only the road, the snow, and the steady sense that this stretch of night knows exactly how to hold you. The road stays open. The snow stays steady. Nothing on the highway changes. And yet, somewhere inside the quiet, something else makes room to appear. Not pulled forward by the drive, not invited by the night. It arrives simply because everything has slowed enough for it to pass through. The memory doesn't arrive with images. No faces, no specific moment you can point to. It's more like a feeling left behind by the day. A softness, a weight so light you might miss it if the night weren't already this calm. You don't try to identify it. There's nothing to label, nothing to explain. It sits somewhere beside you, not in the seat, not in your thoughts, just present in the space you're moving through. The highway doesn't respond. Snow keeps falling the same way it always has. The car continues forward, unaware of what's passing quietly through you. That helps. The memory doesn't demand attention. It doesn't bring emotion with sharp edges. No regret, no longing, just the sense of something once shared or once held, now loosened enough to rest. You let it stay without reaching for it. You let it exist without asking where it came from or where it's going. Your breathing remains steady. In, out. The road keeps its line. The night keeps its distance. And in that wide, open space, the memory finds a place to sit, unnamed, unexplained, and light enough that it doesn't interrupt the calm you've settled into as the drive continues. The memory shifts slightly as the miles pass, not growing stronger, just settling. It feels less like something you're remembering and more like something you've already finished carrying. There's no timeline attached to it. No beginning, no ending. It doesn't belong to a place or a season or a version of you that needs revisiting. It's simply there. The way warmth stays in the air after a car has passed through it. You notice how easy it is to let it remain unfinished. How little effort it takes not to turn it into a story. Not everything needs to become clear to be complete. The snow thickens slightly, softening the distance between headlights and dark. The road narrows into the beam of light ahead, holding your attention gently without pulling it tight. The memory responds to that narrowing. It grows quieter too, less defined. It doesn't fade because it's being pushed away. It fades because it no longer needs to stay close. Your hands stay steady on the wheel. Your shoulders remain low. Breath moves easily through your chest. In, out. The highway continues without interruption. No exits, no signs asking you to choose. And somewhere between 1 mile marker and the next, the memory loosens its hold on form altogether. What remains isn't absence, it's ease, a sense that some things don't need names to be released. Some moments don't need to be understood to be finished. The night carries that understanding quietly. The snow keeps falling, and the open road accepts it all without asking for more as you continue driving forward, unhurried and lightened in a way that doesn't need explaining. The road stays open, but your attention begins to soften, not drifting away, just loosening its grip. Headlights carve the same quiet path ahead, mile after mile, and the snow continues to meet them without asking to be noticed. At some point, it becomes clear that the night isn't waiting for you to do anything. It's already working. The snow falls with purpose, though it never appears hurried. Each flake arrives, does its small part, then disappears into what's already there. You notice how the road changes beneath it. Lines blur, edges soften. What once felt sharp becomes easier to hold. The snow doesn't erase the highway, it simplifies it. Headlights reach only as far as they need to. Beyond that, darkness stays generous, keeping the rest of the world at a comfortable distance. Your body responds without instruction. Hands remain steady. Eyes rest easily on the narrowed view ahead. Breathing slows to match the rhythm the road has settled into. In, out. The snow takes care of the details you no longer need. It quiets the shoulders of the road, softens signs and fences, smooths the space between lanes and memory. You realize how little effort it takes to let the night do this for you. There's nothing to clear, nothing to organize, nothing to fix. The snow handles it all, layer by layer, without commentary. Inside the car, the hum of the engine lowers into the background, a sound that holds rather than moves. Outside, the world becomes less demanding by the mile. The snow continues its steady work, reducing, simplifying, making space. And as it does, you feel the same thing happening inside you. Thoughts arrive less often now. When they do, they stay lighter, shorter. They don't linger long enough to require attention. The open highway remains ahead, unchanged in direction, but gentler in feeling. The snow keeps falling. The night keeps its pace. And without asking anything from you, it begins to carry more of the weight, leaving you free to simply remain in motion, supported, and increasingly at rest. The snow grows steadier now, not heavier, just more certain. It fills the space between one moment and the next so evenly that time itself begins to feel padded, less exact. The highway stretches forward, but it no longer feels long. Distance loses its edge when every mile looks the same and asks the same small thing of you. The snow takes care of remembering where you've been. Tracks form behind the car, then soften almost immediately, as if the night prefers not to keep records. You notice how comforting that feels. There's no need to hold on to what's already past. No need to replay the last exit, the last thought, the last version of yourself. The snow handles the letting go quietly. Inside the car, warmth stays constant. The seat supports you without adjustment. Your posture settles into something effortless. Breath continues on its own. In, out. The road narrows further into the light ahead, not confining, just focused. Everything outside that beam becomes optional. Trees, signs, fields opening and closing beyond view. You don't miss them. The snow absorbs sound, until even the idea of noise feels distant. What remains is a low, continuous sense of motion, enough to carry you, not enough to wake you. Thoughts slow to the pace of falling flakes. One appears, drifts, dissolves. No conclusions are needed. No next steps required. The snow keeps doing its work, layer by layer, making the night simpler, making the drive easier. And somewhere along this open stretch of highway, you realize that you're no longer trying to arrive anywhere. You're just being carried forward, steadily, quietly, while the snow takes care of the rest. At some point, the snow no longer feels like something that's happening. It feels like something that's already happened. The road ahead is still there, but it asks even less of you now. No decisions, no adjustments, just the quiet agreement between tires and ground, between motion and rest. The snow settles into the landscape the way calm settles into the body, gradually, without instruction. Headlights glow softer through it, not dimmer, just less sharp. The night seems to breathe with you now, in, out. Each breath leaves more space behind it. You're aware dimly that you're still driving, that the engine is still working, that the highway continues. But these details no longer stand apart. They blend into one steady presence, a single, unbroken flow. The snow has finished simplifying what you see. Now it begins to simplify how you feel. The need to hold anything together eases. The need to track time loosens. The sense of self becomes lighter, less outlined, not disappearing, just resting. The world beyond the windshield turns into suggestion, light, shadow, motion without urgency. Nothing pulls you forward. Nothing asks you to stop. You remain suspended in this gentle middle space where the road moves and you don't have to. The snow continues its quiet work, not changing, not completing, just being consistent. And in that consistency, you feel yourself settling fully into the drive, into the night, into a calm that doesn't need to deepen any further because it has already reached enough. The highway carries on. The snow keeps falling, and you stay exactly where you are, supported, unhurried, and free to let the rest unfold on its own. The snow continues its steady fall, and the road keeps offering the same simple shape. Nothing new appears. Nothing needs to. Somewhere along this stretch of highway, effort quietly steps aside. The drive doesn't require attention anymore. It carries itself. Your hands remain on the wheel, but you're no longer aware of holding it. The motion feels automatic now, not careless, just deeply familiar. The car follows the road the way breath follows the body, naturally, without instruction. Headlights sweep forward, revealing the same soft corridor of snow and dark. No surprises, no demands. You're not watching the road so much as resting with it. Thoughts no longer arrive in full sentences. They pass as fragments, a feeling, a suggestion, then nothing at all. Your breathing stays slow, even, uncounted, in, out. The engine hum becomes part of the quiet, not separate from it. A low, continuous sound that doesn't ask to be noticed. The highway doesn't ask questions either. It doesn't offer exits or choices right now. It simply continues, wide and open, content to be followed without being considered. You realize you haven't checked the time in a while. The clock doesn't matter here. The drive isn't measured in minutes anymore, only in motion. Snow drifts steadily through the beams of light, each flake appearing just long enough to confirm that you're still moving. Nothing pulls you backward. Nothing pulls you ahead. There's a quiet relief in that. Driving without thinking, doesn't feel empty. It feels supported, like being held in a rhythm that knows what it's doing, even when you don't. The road continues. The snow keeps falling, and you remain right here, moving forward without effort, without planning, without the need to be anywhere other than exactly where you are. The longer you continue, the less you notice the act of driving at all. The road doesn't disappear. It simply stops to be monitored. Your body knows the small adjustments, a slight turn of the wheel, a gentle easing of speed before thought ever gets involved. It feels similar to drifting, but steadier, more grounded. Snow keeps passing through the light ahead, not fast enough to blur, not slow enough to count. You don't track it anymore. You let it come and go. The space inside the car grows quieter, as if sound itself has decided to rest. Even the engine hum feels farther away, rounded at the edges. Your breathing deepens slightly, not on purpose, just because there's room for it now. In, out. Each breath feels complete on its own. Nothing follows it. Nothing needs to. Thoughts that once waited for space no longer arrive. They seem to recognize that this stretch of highway isn't meant for them. What replaces them isn't emptiness. It's ease. The sense of being carried rather than moving. Time loosens further. You wouldn't know how long you've been driving if someone asked. It wouldn't matter if you did. The snow continues its quiet pattern. The road continues offering itself. The car continues forward, and you remain present without effort, awake enough to notice the calm, relaxed enough to let it deepen. Driving without thinking becomes less of a state and more of a background truth. Something steady, reliable. As the night stretches on, you stay right here, supported by motion, held by quiet, allowing the drive to carry you without asking anything back. The road keeps its shape as everything else softens. Nothing changes suddenly. It just becomes easier to stop guiding each moment yourself. The lines ahead remain clear enough to follow, but distant enough to release. The snow continues falling, steady and unremarkable, doing its quiet work without needing your attention. You feel it then, the shift from directing to allowing, and the drive moves into something simpler. You loosen your focus without losing awareness, not drifting, just trusting. The road feels wider now, as if it has room to hold you without instruction. You're still present, still awake, but no longer managing each second. The steering wheel rests lightly in your hands. It doesn't demand grip. It doesn't resist. Snow passes through the headlights in an even flow, not fast enough to signal urgency, not slow enough to hold your gaze. You let it be. The highway stretches on, long and uninterrupted, a quiet agreement between direction and distance. Your breathing stays slow, even, unattached to thought. In, out. There's relief in not deciding anything right now. No turns to anticipate. No destination pressing forward. Just the sense of being carried by the road, by the motion, by the night itself. The car moves smoothly, as if it already knows how to do this without you overseeing every moment. And maybe it always has. Time doesn't announce itself anymore. It passes quietly, the way snow settles on the ground, layer by layer, without asking to be noticed. You remain here, awake enough to feel the steadiness, relaxed enough to let it continue. The road holds its course. The night stays open, and you allow the drive to take care of itself, carrying you forward with nothing required in return. The longer you allow it, the more natural it feels. Not like giving up control, more like remembering you never had to hold it so tightly. The road keeps unfolding ahead of you, steady and predictable in the best way. No surprises, no demands. Snow continues to fall at the same quiet pace, each flake appearing, then disappearing, without leaving a mark you need to track. The car moves as if it's part of the night now. Engine low, tires whispering, everything working together without effort. Your hands stay where they are, but they feel lighter. Your shoulders rest lower. Your jaw unclenches without instruction. In, out. Breath moves easily through your chest, not counting, not guiding, just happening. There's a sense that the road is doing more than carrying the car. It's carrying the space you're in, the quiet, the stillness that has settled behind your thoughts. You don't need to know how far you've gone. You don't need to picture where this highway ends. The distance has stopped asking for meaning. Time stretches gently, losing its sharp edges. Minutes blend together, softened by motion and snow. The night remains open around you, wide and unhurried. Nothing presses in from behind. Nothing pulls you forward too quickly. You stay right here, balanced between awareness and rest, letting the road hold its course and letting yourself be held with it. The drive continues on, steady and kind, as you remain carried forward, supported by motion, surrounded by quiet, and free to let the night do the work for a little while longer. The road stays steady as everything else begins to quiet further. Snow continues falling, but it no longer feels separate from the night. Motion softens, awareness loosens. Nothing needs to change for this to end. It simply begins to fade on its own. The headlights reveal less now, not because the road is gone, but because you no longer need to see very far ahead. Snow moves through the light in slow, uncounted patterns. Each flake arrives, then leaves, without asking to be remembered. The road remains beneath you, steady and reliable, even as your attention rests more inward than forward. The sound of the engine settles deeper into the background. Tires whisper. Wind stays distant. Breathing becomes the clearest rhythm left. In, out. Each breath feels complete on its own. Nothing follows it. Nothing needs to. The space inside the car feels wider now, as if the night has stepped back to give you room to rest. Thoughts don't form. Images don't stay. There is only motion, snow, and the gentle rise and fall of breath. The road carries you without effort. The night holds everything else. And as the drive continues, awareness softens further, allowing the quiet to deepen. Steady, unbroken, and ready to let you drift without needing to go anywhere at all. The drive continues, but it no longer feels like movement, more like floating, more like being held. Snow keeps falling somewhere beyond the windshield, but you don't follow it anymore. It exists without asking to be seen. The road stays beneath you, quiet and dependable, doing its work without interruption. Breath becomes softer still. In, out. The space between breaths widens. Not empty, just calm. The car feels less like a place you're in and more like a gentle boundary, holding warmth, holding stillness, holding you exactly where you are. Thoughts don't return. They seem to understand this moment isn't for them. Sound fades into a single low layer. Snow, road, breath. Nothing stands apart anymore. Time loosens completely, losing its shape, losing its need to be tracked. There's no sense of before or after now. Only this steady quiet, stretching without effort. The night doesn't ask you to stay awake. It doesn't ask you to fall asleep. It simply allows you to rest inside the motion, inside the softness, inside the calm that's already here. Snow continues. The road carries on. Breath rises and falls. And gradually, without needing to decide it, everything settles gently, evenly, into a stillness that feels complete.